Back when I was in college, I used to have a spray gun. We used to do a lot of painting houses. This is still a familiar feel, but I sure didn't miss it. But I guess it's better safe than sorry. Live from Pine Top, Arizona, it's That Painting Show, starring the Color Queen.
Hi folks, I'm Beth Zink in the Bob Ross wig. Welcome to day 9 of That Painting Show. And today is all about texture. We have 2 kinds of texture, implied texture and actual texture in painting. And we're going to discuss both of those today. But first, Dr. John, who is today's lucky duck?
The lucky duck is Ellen from Indiana.
Whoa, Ellen from Indiana, my friend. What's the best way to use texture paste? You know, Ellen, I think this wig is making me psychic. I knew you were going to ask me that. It's a miracle. First of all, before we get to the texture paste, I'm going to talk about implied texture. Implied texture is like when you look at something and visually it looks like it has texture. Whether or not it's in a painting, it's rock or a cactus or weeds or earth or whatever you see here. These are all implied textures. The whole idea of painting, in realistic painting, which is what I do, is to create the look of a 3-dimensional painting on a 2-dimensional surface. So I'm trying to convince you that this is 3-dimensional when it's not. And I do that with light and shadow and adding all this texture.
Well, teacher, by the way, you do look marvelous.
Oh, thank you, Dr. John.
Did you get a new perfume today?
No, I just have the clairvoyant wig going on. Next is actual texture. And I have a painting here, and I usually don't use actual texture. I usually don't use texture paste.
Well, why do you have to use texture paste?
Well, when you're working in acrylic paint, you have to have body to it. You have to make it thicker. If you're working in oil paint, you can just take it out of the tube and put it on with a palette knife and make it nice and thick. Let me just show you here.
Does it dry clear?
No, it doesn't. So you have to consider that when you're working. Here's a little demo canvas that I was thinking about using, and what I did, I was going to show Ellen the 2 different ways of using the texture paste. This I put on prior to the show.
How long does it take to dry?
Well, you know what? I'm amazed. This took about 20 minutes to dry in the direct sun. So, you know, if you have a way to put your canvas out in the sunshine, it'll dry a whole lot quicker. I thought it would take over a night, to tell you the truth.
Looking good.
Thank you. This painting I did a couple of years ago, and I used a lot of texture paste. I made it so thick and heavy. If you could feel this, what texture is all about is tactile. It's the sense of touch. Every object has texture. Glass is shiny. Cactus are prickly. An avocado is rough. A knife is sharp. Fabrics are silky. Water is liquid. Some things are lumpy, others are velvety. So there's all kinds of textures. In painting, we try to replicate those by our brush strokes. So if you're trying to create a painting that shows a very smooth subject, like one of my cactus flowers or whatever, you would make your brush strokes go very smoothly. Follow the contour to create that smoothness. If you want to create a ragged or rough texture, then that's when you change your strokes and create lots of different directions. Two ways of using texture paste. One is to put it on first and add the paint afterwards. That's what we're going to do here. Real.
You make it look easy, Teach.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Dr. John. You know, I've been doing it for a while. So the texture piece is dried. It's white. So whatever I put on top of it is going to be lightened by the fact that the whiteness is underneath. So you can see I'm just playing around with this a little bit. I think this is the easier way to do it. I think that's how I know that's how I did this. Back when I put on the texture paste first and added the paint later. In a minute, I'm going to show you the other option.
What do you call that color?
Well, these are cool colors, if you remember. Blues, greens, and violets are cool colors, and I'm putting them on a warm color background. Why?
Contrast.
You're catching on, Dr. John. You're getting so good at this. Pretty soon you'll be running the show. All right, that's enough of that because I fear we might be running out of time. So I want to show you the other option. Here's the texture paste. Look at it. It's thicker than icing. Okay, but you think of it that way. And look at me. I am using this plastic knife because I don't have a palette knife here at the cabin. But you buy palette knives. They're real thin and narrow, kind of like pie slice lifters, only they're small. Woo! Yucky color. Doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter. I'm going to try to get some blue and green and white. Somehow that red sneaked in there. Blue and green and white with the texture paste. So one is put the texture paste on first, add the paint. The other, which I think is a little less predictable, even if you're using the right colors, is to put it on this way. And that still looks pretty good. You have not a whole lot of control with texture paste, but that's okay. People who use texture paste are not trying to paint very realistically, as I do typically in my work. You can see how the difference between this and this, it's a little rougher, it's a little looser, which is not bad. It's great. Kind of like icing a very messy cake. Or messily icing a cake. If you let this dry, you can come back on and add whatever kind of definition or detail you want on top of this. This is kind of like your base coat. Depends on the type of artist you are. Some artists just like that real loose, heavy look. It's not my style, but I like it. It's fun. And if I had a real palette knife instead of this plastic takeout fork, I would be a lot more effective. But you get the gist. Just go a little purple here and there.
Looking good.
Yeah. You know, it's fun to play. Well, like I said the other day about mixing colors, it's fun just to play. Don't worry yourself about how good it's going to look or how it's going to turn out. I have another way of actual texture that I wanted to show you, and that is if you take a bottle of paint and you kind of take the cap and squeeze. This may not work very well. Up. I want to stand it up. But say you just wanted to say you're a real loose and crazy artist and just wanted to add a little definition that way. You can just take paint and squeeze it out of the tube and create some interesting effects. Gravity is not our friend, so I'm going to lay it down flat. So that's about texture, implied and actual texture. And thanks for asking the question today, Ellen. Next, we have our super sale.
Queenie, what is the super sale of the day?
Well, you know, we have our ongoing super sale with the 25% off G clays, 25% off pillows, 25% off our specials on our purses. And now we're adding the 6-inch unframed tiles, which are great for a little spot of color. These are actually marble, tumbled Turkish marble. We have our art printed on them. I signed them front and back. We have a little hanger on the back. You can even make a marble backsplash for over your range. Several of those are available to see on our website and even our Facebook page now that I'm getting into Facebook, which is kind of frightening. Anyway, next is
Queenie, what are the pearls of wisdom?
Well, the pearls of wisdom are not from any particular author. I just keep looking for more pearls of wisdom. And one of the cuter ones I saw today was, I've reached that age where my brain went from, maybe I shouldn't say that, to, oh, what the hell? Let's try and see what happens. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Be well, be safe, and cheers. See you next time.